3-point line. And that's way too late with the
that pitch and then kept it. She only dropped
lots.
Wow.
Just 37 words managed to change the game for women's sports across the U.S. Those words are Title IX, which states, "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Yet ever since the enactment of Title IX in 1972, the government has neglected complete enforcement of the law, negligence that is still happening today due to transgender debates, college funding, and political changes. My grandmother, one of 7 sisters, was the only one who played sports. She vividly remembers the disparities between boys and girls' opportunities before Title IX.
We learned how to play volleyball. We learned how to play the track and field events. We learned how to play field hockey. We learned how to play basketball. We never competed like you do now. Like, they didn't have anything like that. That was not available.
American women have been fighting for equality for over a century, all the way back to the women's suffrage movement of the mid-1800s. Their protests eventually led to the passage of the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote in 1920. Then 30 years later, the civil rights protests of the 1950s and 60s brought about sweeping changes for equality.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
On the heels of the civil rights movement, women in powerful positions aligned to push for more equality, specifically in higher education.
Women's rights are about fundamental justice, not only about laws and court orders, but about the way women are treated and regarded in this country.
That was Congresswoman Patsy T. Mink, who pioneered Title IX and worked tirelessly to get it passed. Soon after passage, it became quite clear that Title IX would affect athletics, and certain athletic departments were outraged.
We are very concerned to the point we feel that it possibly might threaten the program. Women's sports certainly will be non-revenue producing, and naturally I do not feel like total budget should be split equally.
Historian Susan Ware, interviewed by the Harvard Gazette, explains, "From the very beginning, the NCAA was totally opposed to Title IX because it feared that it would upset their money-making arrangements. Especially in terms of sports, Title IX is often presented as a zero-sum game. If women gain, men lose. Ware also offers, it doesn't have to simply be, we're going to kill a men's team because we have to add a women's team. There are ways to do this, yet very often Title IX gets blamed for cuts in men's programs."
How important was Title IX in changing sports for women and girls?
It was tremendous.
Billie Jean King should know. This 39-time Grand Slam champion, widely regarded as one of the best tennis players of all time, has experienced this discrimination firsthand.
USC and Arthur Ashe had a full scholarship at UCLA. Even though I was arguably the best tennis player at Cal State LA and had already won a Wimbledon title, I was not receiving any financial assistance. I did have 2 jobs.
Her famous victory against the self-proclaimed male chauvinist Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes match broke barriers for women's sports coverage just 1 year after the passage of Title IX. Research from the Foundation shows that only 1 in 27 girls played sports before the passage of Title IX, but in 2016, 2 in 5 girls now play sports. Here's another way to look at it. The Women's Sports Foundation says that since 1972, thanks to the increased funding and institutional opportunities, there has been a 545% increase in the percentage of women who play college sports and a 990% increase in the percentage of women playing high school sports.
I have this vision for women's sports. I still do. We're still working on it. To have equality in that and to have opportunities and to have leagues just like the men.
So what's holding us back? Well, for starters, the government is dropping the ball on enforcement, leaving schools unchecked and free to bend the rules of Title IX. USA Today conducted a year-long investigation into the Department of Education's enforcement and discovered schools blatantly violate Title IX's requirements, the Office of Civil Rights, which is tasked with investigating and enforcing Title IX, greatly surpasses its 6-month investigation deadline, and Congress continually underfunds the OCR. Its 600 staff members oversee 18,000 different school districts and 6,000 colleges. Keeping up with what's happening in Washington regarding Title IX is like having a seat on a roller coaster. When I started this project in late 2024, President Biden's administration required universities to pay male and female athletes equally from their name, image, and likeness funds, or NIL. Just before my deadline, President Trump's administration reversed that guidance, saying NIL funds do not have to follow Title IX. Some say that sends a signal that equity in sports is not important.
This afternoon, we're putting every school receiving taxpayer dollars on notice that if you let men take over women's sports teams or invade your locker rooms, you will be investigated for violations of Title IX and risk your federal funding. There will be no federal funding.
Another reversal from a headline-dominating topic also came from this past week about the definition of Title IX. Biden's administration defined sex as being inclusive of gender identity, which gave protection to transgender athletes who wanted to compete in sports that aligned with their gender identity and not their biological. This has created a lot of debate, and female athletes such as Riley Gaines are speaking up.
Thomas and I raced in the 200 freestyle at this national championships. Which ultimately resulted in a tie, meaning, of course, we went the exact same time down to the 100th of a second. But despite tying, when we go behind the awards podium, the NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself, Thomas towering over me at 6'4". This official says, "Great job, you two, but you tied. And we only have one trophy, so we're going to give the trophy to Leah. Sorry, Riley, you don't get one." In addition to being forced to give up our awards and our titles and our podium spots and our opportunities, we were also forced to share a locker room with Thomas. Again, a 6'4", 22-year-old man, fully intact and fully exposing himself, inches away from where we were simultaneously fully undressed. And let me be very clear here. We were not forewarned of this arrangement. We did not give our consent, and no one asked for our consent.
Trump campaigned on this issue and this week signed an executive order that bans transgender athletes from competing in girls' and women's sports.
So this will effectively end the attack on female athletes at public K-12 schools and virtually all U.S. colleges and universities.
In its 50 years of existence, it's hard to ignore the impact that Title IX has had on girls and boys sports. The challenge now is to get it off the sidelines and to keep pushing forward.
13 years at Tennessee, 11 consecutive seasons of 20 or more wins.
This ball is way inside. Kara Cressy at 6'6", number 13 in red. Reese Robbins.
It was an effortless performance. Like, we could sit back, but the reaction at the end is what did it for me. I'm so happy for her.
Ladies would like to have this another double. It is over. Let's watch Bobby Riggs. 3 straight wins.
Rose Lavelle, lovely run, great goal! Brilliant goal! Rose Lavelle, 4th time. The United States of America.
She is the greatest we've ever seen, and she wins gold for the 15th time at a World Championships. Katie Ledecky, how sweet it is.
My name is Dakota, and I'm 10 years old.
Show me what it looks like to run like a girl. Throw like a girl. Fight like a girl. What does it mean to you when I say run like a girl?
It means run fast as you can.
Advice do you have to young girls who are told they run like a girl, kick like a girl, hit like a girl, swing like a girl?
Keep doing it, because it's working. If somebody else says that running like a girl or kicking like a girl or shooting like a girl is something that you shouldn't be doing, that's their problem. Because if you're still scoring and you're still getting to the ball on time and you're still being first, you're doing it right. Doesn't matter what they say. I mean, yes, I kick like a girl and I swim like a girl and I walk like a girl and I wake up in the morning like a girl because I am a girl. And that is not something that I should be ashamed of.